नमस्कार दोस्तों और जय हिंद। आप सभी को स्वागत है बहुत दिनों के बाद इन माय चैनल 1971 वॉर बुक सीरीज। तो दोस्तों आज हम एक डिफरेंट टॉपिक में और एक इक्विपमेंट ऑफ द 1971 वॉर के बारे में बात करने वाले हैं। फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल, एज यू माइट हैव सीन इन माय प्रीवियस वीडियो, I have introduced you to an exceptional veteran of the 1971 war on the Western Front, a man who had served in the 6th Independent Armored Squadron of the Indian Armored Corps on the Western Front, Colonel Vedpal Singh Dahiya. So, आज from his experiences, we will be learning about the Indian use of the T-55 tank, जिसका कमांडर वो खुद थे as a lieutenant in the 1971 war on the Western Front in the sandy terrain. हाँ, उनके स्क्वाड्रन को थिएटर ऑनर सिंह से नवाजा गया था। और T-55 टैंक्स कैसे 1971 में पाकिस्तानी फौज के ऊपर भारी पड़े थे, कैसे उनके इक्विपमेंट की सहायता से उनको जंग जीतने में और भी आसानी हुआ था, and the specific nitty-gritty details of the T-55 tank during the combat operations आज हम जानेंगे from an Indian perspective of the T-55 tank from veteran Colonel Vedpal Singh Dahiya. Let's welcome him to our program today and let's welcome his tank Suraj, the T-55 tank which he used to fight in the 1971 war.
Okay, then sir, let's start our program. We'll be talking mostly about the T-55 tank. So, I mean, as I said, we will start with, if you could briefly speak about your role in 71 war, a bit about your role as a lieutenant, and commander of the T-55 tank. We can proceed on to the tank itself, sir.
Okay. Our squadron, 6th Independent Armored Squadron, was raised at Ahmednagar on white hot priority.
Okay.
7 days during the second week of November, moved to Jaisalmer on 22nd November, and we were deployed on ground just ahead of Longewala at a place called Asutar.
Asutar.
Yeah. Asutar is a place. From Longewala there is a road leading to Bikaru and on to border pillar 638. And midway, this place is there, Asutar. And we were assigned the task of leading the advance of 12 infantry due up to Pak territory and help 12 due to invest Pak town of Rahim Yar Khan.
Okay.
It was an offensive task initially, but we were shocked and surprised by Pakistani move that on 4th, 5th night they came to Longewala and from offensive we were reverted back to defensive operations. But armor is never deployed in defensive operation.
Okay.
We are always offensive and in defense.
Okay.
So we are the advance guard of 12 due. Advance guard is which leads from front, clears the opposition and gives early warning to the following troops of the enemy presence. And engage the enemy so that our troops get deployed for action.
Okay. And you must have faced Pakistani tanks as well, right, sir?
Pakistani tanks were not there, my dear, for that particular time. Reason being, we were in our own territory. Only on a 4th, 5th night, Pakistani tanks were visible in our territory.
I mean, you, of course, as an officer, you must have been commanding your tank itself, right, sir? So, what was your work in commanding specifically your own T-55 tank? Could you talk about that a bit, sir? Like, how is it actually inside the thing, and a brief talk about the T-55 itself.
I am very proud to I served in a brand new T-55 tank regiment, and I was troop leader. A troop leader is the commander of 3 tanks,
Okay.
and the other 2 tanks are one is commanded by a JCO, another by a NCO. So a troop leader commands 3 tanks.
Acha. Okay.
So and then me and Barbade, we were tasked by our squadron commander to be on the leading tank troop for contacting the enemy. There is a crew of 4 inside T-55 tank. One is commander, then is gunner, a driver, and a loader.
Okay. Understood. So this is like 4-man crew.
Oh yes.
Okay. And were you, you and your team, were you driving any variant of the T-55 or just the exact thing, sir? Like it must be a Russian tank, so as far as I know.
You may be aware that during our YOS training, we are the first phase of training is the driving of A and B vehicles.
Okay.
So everyone learns how to drive B vehicles of all types which are in army, Armored Corps in particular, and the tanks.
Okay.
Second phase is armament. That is the use of armor and weaponry. And third phase is radio, that is communication. And fourth of course is tactical. How you actually take part in the battle, how you employ and deploy the tank to destroy the enemy and have a victory.
So what I was saying is that your tank must have been, fighting against Pakistani tanks. So could you talk about like the tank battle tactics and how these things work on the battlefield, on the ground itself, sir?
Debu, you will be surprised. And by the time they reeled back, you may not be aware that since we were initially going for offensive, so we moved from Asutar all the way to Kishangarh. Kishangarh is the last fortress on Indo-Pak border, and we are going from offensive from there. So since the enemy surprised us, they came with a infantry and armor brigade in Longewala. So initially we were not available in Longewala. There was only a company of 23 Punjab C Company of Chandpuri and some elements of BSF and sporting armed services. So we had to reel back good about, imagine first going up to Kishangarh and covering about good about 300 kilometers and then reeling back and coming back and not coming directly from this axis, but since Pakistan had come in Logewala, so from Sadewala we had to go to Ramgarh and then come to Gutaru. If you see the map, we could not come to Longewala directly because enemy tanks were already there and an infantry was already there. And our troops were in the process of fighting them out, and we took, naturally we had to take time, and some of our tanks had done more than 350 kilometers.
Right.
Yes, we were 36 hours moving up and down before we faced the enemy. So troops were tired, but the morale was high because we had a wonderful squadron commander, and we were well primed to fight the war.
Right.
So we actually, when we came on 5th to Longewala, then enemy tanks were not visible initially. All the tanks which are there destroyed by air. There was a Air Force Hunter Squadron in Jaisalmer. It took the heavy toll of Pakistani tanks. They were the sitting ducks in the desert, and they could not hide and they could not run.
Okay.
They had destroyed, before we joined, good about 25 tanks. 25 is a hell of a number.
And these tanks, sir, they didn't fire back, or they were like retreating.
These tanks were the Pakistani, you may be aware, they are Muslim, so they don't want to be burnt alive. So when the tanks were hit, they abandoned the tank and ran away. So these tanks were burning when we came. Of course, the enemy was holding on to the sand dune with RCL and missile and rest of the weapons. But initially we did not face the weapon because the tanks were in the depth and they were well camouflaged so that the air could not take them on from the air. They could not recognize because they had T-59 and Sherman, which can be easily done in the fold of the sand dune with camouflage net. So their tanks were in the depth. They were reserve tanks.
Okay.
The forward tanks were, by and large, were destroyed by air.
Acha.
And few were destroyed by RCL of 23 Punjab, C company of 23 Punjab. So initially we did not face the tanks. In the later part of the battle, that is 7th onward, then we faced the tanks. But their morale was down and they were running. They were retreating, they were withdrawing.
So these enemy tanks, sir, mostly Sherman and T-59, I think, type T-59.
T-59 tanks are of Chinese made. They are the online of T-54 tank of Russia.
Okay.
They were manufactured by China with the license from Russia, and they given them name T-59. So one regiment was equipped with T-59 and another regiment was equipped with Sherman tanks.
Sherman tanks, I think, were World War II era tanks, right, sir?
Oh yes,
So,
they were World War II vintage,
vintage.
and they were finding it very difficult to operate in sandy area. T-59 did not have any problem,
Acha.
but T-59, by the time we joined in, they were running helter and skelter for their dear life because they were sitting ducks in the desert to the hunters.
Right, Hawker hunters were flying.
Yeah.
Another thing, sir, like in the desert, as far as I know, it's like you can see your targets from a very long distance. So, did that give you any advantage?
No, you will be surprised because you may not have gone to the desert. In semi-desert terrain, we can see the target from a long distance. But in the desert, full-fledged desert, you don't see, reason being the undulated ground because of the sand dune and the pockets in between, my dear. So you will not find the target beyond 1,000 meters.
1,000 meters. Okay. And
1,000 is the maximum range you will find, and that too. But in certain pockets, in like for example, in between the sand dune, there is a valley. In the valley, you could find up to 1.5 kilometer distance.
Okay. And what was the range of the gun, sir? Like, how far could you hit? I mean, your T-55.
Our tanks, T-55 tank, has got a effective range of 2.5 kilometer,
2.5
main gun,
Okay. So,
which is good enough in the desert terrain.
and these are kind of ammunition you used against these Pakistani tanks. Could you talk about that? Like the ammunition for destroying these tanks?
There are three types of ammunition, main gun cells in the tank. One is the heat. Heat is the ammunition which goes and hits the target. Thereafter, a jet pierces through the armor and thereafter it sets the tank on fire. That is heat.
Heat.
Then AP,
Anti-tank, right, sir?
yeah. And then is AP, armor piercing. It pierces through the tank armor. And third is HE, which is against soft target like the vehicle and infantry, high explosive. There are three types of cells which are used in T-55 tanks. And the capacity of 45 cells.
Could you talk about a bit about the armor, sir, of the T-55 that you used? I mean, tank armor, how it was. You must have seen, sir, your own tanks. Did you take any casualties, sir? Your squadron?
Oh, we have a number of casualties, but first I will talk about the armor, armament available on the tank. The tank has got main gun, which is 100 millimeter, and then there is a coaxially mounted gun. Coaxially means is mounted along with the main gun, and it will also fire at the same place where the main gun is laid by the gunner. Then which is 7.62. Then there is a hull gun, which is operated by the driver, because the tank main gun and coaxial gun cannot be depressed beyond 6 degrees. So any infantry on ground and coming closer to the tank, then driver can operate the hull gun and destroy the enemy.
Okay.
And there is a gun at the top of the tank, which is known as anti-aircraft gun, ACAC gun, which is 10.7 millimeter gun.
Okay.
So there are three machine guns beside the main gun.
Right. Okay.
And beside that there is a MMG separate, spare MMG inside. There is a stain inside, the grenade inside of the tank, and the small arm ammunition, and of course your own self-protective revolvers.
You must have been having an anti-aircraft gun as well on the tank.
Oh yes, we had an anti-aircraft gun at the top, but Pakistani did not come with the air. Only very few aircraft used to come, and they were very scared when used to fire gun. They never came low, and they were not effective.
Okay.
And they were scared of our own hunter, which was take them on. So with the result, they used to, from a very high sky, they used to fire which were not very effective, and they used to run away. And someone told me that they were some of them were Bengali pilots, so they were not keen to harm Indian army, because their own people were fighting against Pakistan in East Pakistan, now Bangladesh.
Right.
So I do not know how far is true, but they were not very effective. They used to run away. They sort of duty they used to do and go away. So with the result that we used the top gun against infantry, a gun against infantry as a speculative fire. Speculative fire is that if you suspect enemy position anywhere, instead of firing main gun and puffing off the ammunition, which is very crucial in the battle, so use the gun as speculative fire, and the enemy is destroyed or they return fire, so you know the enemy is present.
Okay. Okay. So another thing, sir, could you talk a bit about like the advantage you had as a tankman over Pakistani forces and Pakistani armor? like this is something like what I can say, an analysis of how you actually overcome the problems that were there in the battlefield and emerge victorious.
Firstly, we were given free run by air. Main advantage, Pakistan did not have air. And secondly, we had a superior tank and new tank, T-59 of Pakistani are like T-54, which is inferior than T-55 tanks. And Sherman in any case of Second World War vintage, and they were finding it very difficult to move in desert terrain. There was not, as a matter of fact, they were not considered fit for a desert, and they were they lived their life, the old vintage tank, so they had their own problems. So with the result that we had that two great advantage for Pakistani tanks. You see what happened in T-54, that it does not have night fighting capability. We had T-55 infrared capability for night fighting, night driving by the driver and engaging the target at night, and also navigation, which Pakistani did not have. And then what used to happen, the binge inside of T-59 tank was fixed. So if the gun moved other than the front, then the loader found it very difficult to take out the shell from the bins. However, in case of T-55 tanks, the bins moves along with the turret, whichever direction we put the gun on the target. So it was a great advantage in these two things in particular.
Right. Okay. These are the technical things, like what people don't know much.
It happened.
And sir, did you encounter any Pakistani pattern tanks?
We encountered the tanks and we fired on them and we destroyed one tank.
Okay.
That's all. And rest were abandoned. We captured them and handed over to infantry or what we will do with the tank.
And as far as your men, you told that you had been driving, I guess, for such a long distance, then joining the battle. I mean, I'm talking about your squadron, sir. So these men must have been tired and they had a lot of morale. But
yes, this was a battle fatigue. Imagine doing 350 kilometer, 36 hours up and down. Because you did not know, the intelligence was poor, that where Pakistani has come. They heard the noise of tanks. So they were saying, move here, move there. So we moved all over. So naturally, their battle fatigue just set in. So when we reached Longewala, on 6th in the morning, our troops were tired. Infantry has not fetched up. Our tanks were leading. And RT sport was not available to us. So initially Pakistani played very well with us, with the medium guns, with the RCL, with their missiles. So we lost 2 tanks and we had lost 6 gallant tankmen, 1 officer, young man, 2nd Lieutenant Barbade, a JCO, an NCO, and 4 tanksmen. But thereafter our blood boiled and we had a wonderful squadron commander who led from the front, and he very well directed us and very well led us. So with the result that thereafter we killed them like rabbits. We were out for revenge. We wanted blood. So thereafter there was no looking back. So the initial fear of the battle was off, and by then infantry also patched up, our RT guns also patched up, and we had this sport, and air also joined us. So with the result thereafter, we played very hell into them. And when they started withdrawing, they started retreating, and we killed them all over. Wherever they occupying dominating ground, we attacked and we destroyed them.
So, sir, as far as the attack is concerned, I think you must have not only attacked infantry or like armor, but also you must have attacked Pakistani positions inside buildings and bunkers. So,
No, reason being, there was no bunkers, my dear.
okay.
Bunker they could not make because they did not have time. Only thing they dug out the sand and made it very temporary bunker, which we could not stand. Our cells, one cell we fired and everything collapsed on them. Some were buried alive inside,
Much.
and air was taking them on. In fact, RT was taking them on, so they did not know what to do. So we found the corpse all over, killed Pakistani all over. And since they also made a long advance, so their troops were also tired. And they had problem about water, they had problem about refilling, they had problem about reinforcement. So with the result, they were also in very overstressed, and they were in a very precarious position.
Right, right. And as far as the tank is concerned, like as it is moving, so one thing I was thinking, like as far as I know, the driver can see a very small like thing through the through the window that is there in front of him, right, sir?
Yeah,
How do people actually guide from like as a commander to the driver? I was thinking.
I will tell you. I will tell you. Driver has got two position. His cupola has got two position. One is open up, and one is closed down.
Okay.
When it is closed down, he sees through the binocular,
Okay.
but he has got very small area of view. Not a very large, that I don't deny. Then commander directs him,
Okay.
move right, move left. So that sort of the thing is done by the commander. From the top, we have got internal communication, and we have got communication with our squadron,
Squadron.
the external communication.
So, sir.
Internal and external communication. One is internal the tank, and one is with the other tank troops and the squadron commander.
Right. And you were the tank troop leader, I guess, sir. Right. You were commanding two other tanks at the same time.
Yes, I was directing them, but there was they being a JCO and NCO there, so they take the action on spot. You cannot all the time keep directing them.
So, sir, one.
That much of free hand you have got to give, because we are going to cover a large area with our firepower dominate. So with the result that they have got to be given free hand, and wherever required, then the troop leader gives direction.
Okay. And one more thing is, sir, like I was thinking, as you are in battle at that time, you have to coordinate with the driver very quickly and very like swiftly, as I guess, because I mean one small mistake can lead to complete annihilation of the tank. So I mean, how did you do that in the battle itself, sir?
You have got to lay down priority, my dear. First priority is engaging the enemy, armor, infantry, RT, whatever. So that is the first priority, and rest is you give quick command. Take position, hold down. Find position, hold down.
What is hull
Hello.
down, sir? Like I didn't.
Hold down is that there are two positions of the tank. One is you see tank has got three compartments. If you see, one is chassis. suspension. After suspension comes hull, and then is turret. Hull is up to the engine deck and where the crew are there, and top is turret. So hull down is the tanks up to the level of hull, up to its midway, below turret. It is taken a position of a hide, so it cannot be hit at the hull. Only turret is there. Why turret is there? Otherwise, you cannot use the gun.
But how do you
So gun
do that hull down, sir? Like,
hull down is straightway run for a cover or sand dune, move near and move as close to the sand dune so that the gun is remaining at the top and tank up to the hull is covered. So when the driver cannot see beyond himself, then hull down.
acha, acha, acha. So you just move the turret.
And turret down is up to the turret level. The tank is hidden. Only main gun is at the top, and it can only fire very restricted rounds. And indirect firing, more or less, it cannot carry out direct firing because it cannot depress its gun.
Okay.
Because once they hull down, there is obstacle in front, so there is no clear view. So if clear view is not there, tank cannot fire. So only indirect fire, like RT. You raise the gun and set some distance and fire and hope for all the best.
Okay. So
But shut down, we don't recommend in armored corps because that is not our tactics. That is for the infantry artillery. This is indirect firing. We are direct firing weapon. We fire directly, and we enjoy, and we can. We are more effective as tank men in the direct firing.
and one more thing, sir. Like, of course, tank is meant for mobile fire support and everything. So, like what I've seen in World War II is like, I mean, behind tanks, infantry join up. Did something like that happen, or did you give fire support to the infantry during the attack from distance, or was infantry behind you, sir?
I will tell you, when we advance, so we advance in front and infantry follows. And if there are in a squadron there are 4 troops. So normally the squadron moves 2 troops up. They are leading.
Okay.
With the squadron commander in the center and 10 troops behind as reserve, so that he can deploy them anywhere. And the rear tanks carries the infantry on its deck, that is on engine, on turret, so that infantry can be deployed and they can be carried, not that they're left behind. But for front tanks, they don't carry infantry. Reason because it is restricted firepower, and infantry is a very soft target for the enemy, sitting on the top of the tank.
But also, sir, like a tank is also a bigger target for the enemy. So, like what I was thinking, sir. For example, you are going into an attack, and like you are the first target to be picked up by the enemy, I guess, from a distance itself. So for that, what actually happens, sir?
Debu, you will be surprised. This tank is like a tortoise. The shape, if you see T-55 tank, it has got a shape like a tortoise. And from a distance of beyond 500 kilometers, it is hardly visible by the air. You are surprised, particularly sandy terrain.
Right.
So with the result, that advantage we have got. Number one. Number two, it kicks a lot of sand in the sandy terrain. So it is only front is visible and gun is visible. Rest of the tank is not visible.
Achha.
And thirdly, you will not be surprised when we know that enemy is close by. Our tanks has got a smoke screen capability. So we put it on smoke screen. So what is smoke? Smoke is that uh, uh, extra diesel, unburned diesel, is thrown in the uh, exhaust, and through the exhaust, when it is uh, uh, because of heat, it becomes a cloud, and tank is absolutely hidden. When we are near the enemy, that we do not know. Otherwise, it also hides our vision, my dear, because that due to air, that smoke also come in front of us.
It must be very discomforting as a commander being up there and you are
Yeah,
exposed to any
and then you're going to smell that smoke, my dear. Engine smoke. So I mean, it is very nasty. But what to do? This battle condition we have got to do. We are used to it.
But you are also, sir, exposed
So
to enemy fire. I think you're up on top, directing everything. You being the commander, you are exposed to Pakistani firing all the time, I guess.
as a tank commander, you have got the advantage that you have got armor. Then you have got the armor protection. Our tanks are very well protected from the front with a good armor of 110, 120 millimeter in front, and turret is one cast. With the result that small arm fire will not affect us. Only thing when you open up, then they can take it on with the MMG or with rockets or with shells. So then we close down when the enemy is close by.
And it must have been one hell of an experience right there in the battlefield and directing your crew and fighting.
Definitely, it was a lifetime ambition, my dear. Lifetime ambition, because I was feeling guilty that I did not join before 65. So I was not sure that whether I will get the chance to fight a battle. But I was all the time bubbling and thinking that must get the opportunity, because our regimental officer JCO, other ranks used to talk about 65 war and how our regiment fared, how they went through the entire thing. We used to feel little small. But after 71 then, and it was a complete victory.
Complete victory.
Huh?
So mostly, sir, the T-55, what I can understand is, had a big advantage due to its operational capability in the sandy terrain, which the Pakistanis didn't have much. I mean, they had T-59s, but Shermans didn't do well. T-59s did okay, but yeah, I mean, Indian Air Force took out a lot of them, and then you guys came in. So I think T-55 had a better advantage compared to other Pakistani tanks.
You will be surprised, Debu. Our two armored divisions were equipped with T-55 tanks. They were the main battle tank. And T-55 tanks were our time were used by 55 countries. This was the largest used tank in the world at one time.
Right.
The tank was about a life of 10 years. After 20 years, new invention, new warfare, new weapon system come. So that has got to be replaced. But otherwise, T-55 tanks, our time, I consider the ultimate weapon in ground war.
Especially you said that you had nighttime targeting capability, I guess.
Oh yes, night fighting capability, night driving capability,
Night driving as well.
both within power.
Because I think it is very dark in the desert at night, desert area and those places, and you have to shoot any Pakistani tanks that might come or any infantry. So what equipment did you have, sir, for this nighttime fighting capability?
For night fighting, we used to put on the infrared. Infrared, this thing was put along with the main gun. So wherever main gun pointed, infrared will go there. So with the light of the infrared, we could acquire the target. And after acquiring the target, then we lay our gun accurately and fire.
So sir, I'm not a weapons expert. It's like those laser जो मिलता है market में is something.
Later invention. Over time, laser has not come, my dear.
अच्छा अच्छा अच्छा.
And this tank, of course, in desert we don't have rivers, but this tank has got deep floating capability. It can go through the water, good about 4.4 feet, and with a snorkel tube, with preparation, it can go through the river bed of 15 feet.
15 feet. Okay.
Yes. So wonderful tank over time.
And sir, one more thing. You must have driven through the water as well in some time in the T-55.
We have carried out in desert. We do not find any river or Mala.
Other places.
But we were at Mala. I was with the Deccan Horse, and then we moved to Shamjoria. Then we had a number of trial, and we went through various canal and river, Tavi River, and when you go through the water, there is a gyro inside, which with the driver navigates, and we go through from one end to another end.
Okay, so when the tank actually gets into the water, water doesn't get inside, so that much, of course it won't, but everything...
No, there is a preparation idea. You can't go in deep water without preparation. We call it stage 2.
Okay.
Stage 2 preparation is that this waterproofing is done on the tank all around, and on the engine deck, on the there is a valve put on the exhaust, so that the water cannot run through exhaust, and then snorkel tube is fitted at the type on the side of the loader. So for the snorkel tube, the oxygen goes inside, and rest of the thing sealed with the sealing. But the sealing or entire preparation takes 2 hours, my dear. It's not easy. And main gun is also, and we cannot fire when we go inside the water. In stage 2. Stage 1 we can fire up to 4.5 feet of water. Then no problem. Holding and using the gun.
Because in Bangladesh ops, sir, I think PT-76 tanks were in the water crossing rivers, and in one operation I think they fired onto Pakistani tanks from being in the water itself, like still crossing.
You see, PT-76 tank is designed and it can float through water. So with the result, it does not have a very thick armor. It does not have a very heavy gun. So and it is made like a boat. You say duck boat. It has got the shape of a duck boat.
Right.
And we call it pipa. So it is good enough for a rivery terrain where there are rivers. It can very well float. It can very well fire, and it go through like a boat. And with infantry sitting at the top, no doubt. These are the advantages of PT-76 tank. But what will do PT-76 tank in the desert?
Right.
It will be hit. So it is only terrain like Bangladesh. It is very useful. Or in Punjab, partially, not totally.
Not there.
But otherwise, it is not a main battle tank. It is a supporting tank.
Right. And one more question, sir, before I move to the last thing. Of course, T-55 had a really good armor. So, could you talk about how the armor actually helped you survive, or any of your troops, or what I can say squadron members survive any Pakistani onslaught? Like, what must have happened during the battle itself? Could you talk a bit about your armor, thing, sir?
Debu, you will be surprised that some of our tank got 2 hits, but did not pierce. Oh yes, and did not pierce, is negotiated. The armor is so wonderful of Russian tank, sloping armor and so thick. And beside, you will be surprised, one of our tanks was hit by missile. Is one bogey wheel was blown. Tank was moving. It is a very robust equipment. It is solid equipment, and it has got everything duplicate, like firing mechanism duplicate, like my driving mechanism duplicate. So electrical system fails, manual works. So a wonderful tank.
So, sir, I mean, what happened during the two hits? The shell or the rocket that must have hit the armor?
When the shell hit, thereafter after hitting it should pierce. It did not pierce. It ricochet. Ricochet is that it thereafter it takes off at a different angle and did not do any damage to the tank.
Okay.
Because it ricochet.
Wonderful. Really wonderful fact, I guess.
That is why I am saying I am so proud and I am so happy, and I salute this tank. And I got a replica. I forwarded to you. I got a wooden replica made of T-55 tanks, and I put my squadron emblem logo with operation area and with our martyr's name and with officer's name around. It's on the plates, so that future generation or anyone coming, they know this is the tank we fought. I'm very proud of T-55 tank and a tank man.
I mean,
And you will surprise another thing, Indian are very good in innovation. We were finding that 100mm gun is not suiting to our condition for long range. So we put 105mm gun on the tank modified.
okay.
We modified T-55 tank with 105mm gun, which was UK origin, very accurate gun, and we could fire 4 rounds in the air in no time. It was very effective, but Russian raised objection. How can you mount UK gun on a tank? So it is infringement of our agreement. So then we had to stop it, and they refused to
So the British
give any more
than the
tanks to us. Yeah, 100mm is Russian. 105 is UK gun. But the UK gun is more accurate and more faster than 100mm gun. So in the armored division, we had we used to call them T-55 up gun with 105mm gun, and with normal we had original equipment 100mm gun.
These are the things that people don't know about 71 war. The details of the equipment used to win a battle. We know about the men. We don't know about the equipment. And
You see, in armored corps or cavalry, our horses and tanks are as important as the crew. So, like for example, Deccan horse. Why Deccan horse is named? Because of the horses were bred in Deccan, Hyderabad. So we love at any time the horse fell on the ground with the enemy. So we thereafter we gave it a proper burial, and the person did not find. He stayed with his war horse. Did not abandon the war horse when he was dying. So we are very proud of our tank equipment. Like for example, when Vision tank came, we named our officer mess as Vision officer mess. Another mess was made operational here, which we call it Arjun officer mess because of Arjun tank. And they got this tank placed in front of them. Like Vision officer mess has got a tank placed in front of it and replica inside. And so is Arjun officer mess. So we love our equipment. If you love your equipment, you do very well. You love your equipment as much as you love your men.
Exactly.
Of course, the man behind the weapon matters, but the equipment also matters.
I think Pakistanis had one of the best pattern tanks, yet they just left the tanks and ran away.
Pakistani did not, whatever we met and we had one or two POWs, but their training was poor and their motivation was poor.
Fortunately, sir.
And their religious faith was coming in their way.
Right. Fortunately, I guess that's why we always had a step forward. I mean, compared to, with armored battles.
Now, another very big point, they do that their officers are big load. Officer never come in front. Pakistani whom we met, they told us, Saab, you are giving us so much love and respect. We are enemy. Our officers don't give us any respect at all. They treat us like slaves, and they are like Nawabs. You give your officer to us, and we will fight as good as your own men. They were so impressed by. You imagine the officer casualty that we had, and the officer casualty Pakistani had. Hardly any Pakistani was found killed on the ground.
Right, right.
Only the Jesuit men. Anywhere we go, only one officer casualty was. That's all. And he was junior officer. Because he may not have any choice.
Right.
So very sad. So our officers, they're bubbling with leadership and the ethos which is created to lead from the front. It makes all the difference.
Right. Fortunately,
Otherwise, Pakistani have big advantage, surprise. In the battle, surprise is the main thing. They surprise us totally. In 71, war at in the desert at Longewala. They came, they don't know, and they came very early prepared.
Right.
Of course, they stopped because they thought this is a minefield, and some of their tanks were taken by RCL, and C company stood the night, and next day Air Force took them on. By the time we reeled back, otherwise things were very, very serious.
Right.
We were in doldrums initially. They had the big advantage of advancing into our territory, taking on the offensive, and taking us by surprise.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, some of them who met us, they said that we were told that we will have breakfast in Ramgarh, and then we have lunch at Jaisalmer, and we have dinner at Jodhpur. So they had such plan that they will all run our position. But when they found our resistance and we started killing them like rabbits and like partridges, then they were shaken up, and the leadership was dead. The GOC was sacked. Our brigade commander was sacked, and they had to withdraw, and they left a lot of equipment abandoned.
Yeah.
And some equipment, of course, they retrieved at night, and they ran away from there. We went a good about 30 kilometers inside their territory. They were nowhere visible. They were running with very little resistance. They were so demonized by our fighting capability and destruction on them. And when they used to see the dust over tank, they used to lift their weapon and run. It was such a scare created on them of our tanks.
Right. And I mean, this willing to fight, and I think there is no other choice, because if we allowed them to run over us, they would have done what they wanted to do, and we had to stop them. But for them, they had the option to run away, I think.
You see, at night, you cannot stop withdrawal. Leave some country troops. Because at night, we do not know how much enemy is there, what type of weapon are there, where all enemy is there. So the advancing troops become easy target to the troops which are on ground holding position. So with the result that real troops they can withdraw, thinning out. So that is what they did, and they left a lot of equipment behind, fighting equipment, tanks, RCL, B vehicle, A vehicle, recovery vehicle, lot of things, and staff cars. Oh, they are big people. Their number of staff car in our area, all over. They observe big Nawab. Like for example, in one of the cricket match, there was a poster. Join the Indian Army, serve the nation. In Pakistani caption was, join the army, rule the nation. This is the difference. They are ruling class. What is the politician? They are puppets in their hand.
Right.
So they are spoiled brats. A soldier should not be spoiled. Should not be used in administration. We have got a different role altogether. So with the result that they were not really.
I think that is why the Indian army is meant to serve the nation, but Pakistan army rules their own nation. So they have their own country, and while we serve our country.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
They don't want to die, they want to rule.
Right.
Whereas for us, for the nation comes first, always and every time. The troops that we command, they come next. Our own ease, comfort and safety comes last, always and every time. This is our ethos. And we say, Janni Janam Bhumi Sarab se Mahan hai. So we love martyrdom and they don't want to die. They want to live a very happy life. आप बता दीजिए, देख लीजिए आप. So this is the difference between our officer and the officer.
So I would like a personal note from you. I mean, of course, you are a veteran of 71 war and a veteran of using the T-55 tank. So a personal note from you regarding your T-55 tank, sir. What, I mean, you must have named it something, you must have dedicated something to it. So I'd like to know a bit about that, sir. It's a personal, like an emotional thing.
We used to call this tank Bhim. Bhim was a very powerful person in Mahabharat.
Right.
So we used to call our tank Bhim. And then we have given them different name of the heroes of our squadron caste. Like Jorawar, tank name is Jorawar. Tank name is Surajmal. So like this, our Shivaji, our war heroes.
Wow. So your
And
name is Bhim. And how?
my tank was Surajmal. I'm a Jat, and Maharaja Surajmal of Bharatpur was a very powerful person. Over 100 battle he won. He never lost a battle. He created biggest empire, 200 miles around Delhi, spanning over to 5 states. He uprooted the Mughal empire, captured Agra, captured Delhi. That is what Surajmal was.
Right.
So my tank was Surajmal. So instead of Surajmal is a big name. I used to call it Suraj only.
Suraj.
Wow, Suraj, very sweet name, like sun. Sun is we call it Suraj in Urdu. So Suraj है, so it's like a sun है. Oh, छोटा नाम भी है, बढ़िया है. Like my name is very big, but no one will call me Ved Paul Singh Dahiya. So everyone will call me Ved. At the most Ved Dahiya. That's all. my dear friend, I served for good about 28 years in the tank. In my case, I am very lucky. I am the only one from Indian Armored Corps whose entire service is Armored Corps, regimental, staff, ERE, all in Armored Corps, re-employment Armored Corps. And I also raised a ECHS here in Armored Corps Center and School. And we fought the last war as an outfit of Armored Corps Center and School. 6th Independent was not affiliated to any regiment. It was Armored Corps Center and School Squadron, and we got theatre honor. In the 75 history of Armored Corps Center and School, they have got only one battle honor or theatre honor, since that is from our squadron. So I am very proud, and that is why I made sure that our war memorial is created separately, which with great difficulty I got it done, and name is all over now. Its name is there in Longewala, name is there in Jaisalmer, name is there in Jodhpur, name is there in Ahmedabad, and name here in Ahmednagar, and name there in Pune. So our squadron is mentioned in dispatches everywhere. That is my effort. Our martyr's name is there. I'm more concerned about the martyrs.
I mean, that's what I can say one can do as a cavalryman for the battle that he has fought, of course.
We owe it, my dear. और जिसको कहते हैं we are no, वो कहते हैं we cannot be, we value our namak. वो कहते हैं हम how we live in Armored Corps. Name of the regiment, flag, and ethos. नाम, नमक और निशान. नाम, नमक और निशान. Like motto of our regiment is Sanghe Shakti. Sanghe Shakti, unity is strength. We fight together, not singly. So these are the things which carry us through the battle.
Right. And sir, this tank that you operated in 1971, but I mean this war, how long did you serve with this particular tank?
I served in this tank for good about 10 years.
10 years.
Then I was posted to a new regiment, 82 Armored Regiment, which was Vijayant. So I was the first technical officer. So I knew the problem, but since I Indian tank, we did not say anything. The gun was good, but I did not have any faith in the tank, to be very frank. And it was finally phased out. Because this tank had a lot of problem. We were not very sure any time that all tanks will reach the objective. But gun was good, and it has got automatic driving. So these were the advantage. And it was our own tank, but a very big target. Very huge target. So I did not enjoy that much in Vision's tank. But what to do? You have to be faithful to the country, faithful to the regiment, and whatever equipment has been given, make the best of it. We cannot find fault with our own country equipment. But T-55 is the ultimate for me. I love T-55, like I love my horse. I love my dog. I love my brothers. You know, like a brother. Brother at arm.
Brother at arms.
My war horse. My war horse.
Right.
That is why I got a replica, and I got also a replica of 1990 tank. Now this is the latest entry into our armed forces, and our armored division are equipped with T-90 tank. Wonderful tank, a great advantage, very advanced tank, and of course that is the latest tank, battle tank in the field. So Russian equipment is very robust, and it is foolproof tank. It does not let you down anywhere. Very reliable friend.
This discussion, I would say, is one of the most productive discussions I have had regarding the technical things in warfare, armored warfare, of course. Like this thing you said, sir, armor say, I think the shell ricocheted. This is what I've like heard, but you have seen this in real life, I guess.
No, those tanks, our tanks, which are placed here in our tank museum. Huh? Because this is a history. They have been displayed here. And one of my tank is displayed here at the War Memorial of T-55. I sent you. Well, I love T-55. And of course the latest version T-90. Wonderful tank.
And you must have seen the Zorawar tank, light tank that has been developed recently, rubber tracks wala, sir. The Zorawar?
Rest of the tank are good. Yet I cannot deny Abraham, Leopard. But the best tank I personally feel is Markova of Israel. Beautiful tank. The best tank I personally feel. Very well designed, fit for field warfare, fit for urban warfare.
Because I think Israel के जो territory है वहाँ पे Markava is like does really well.
They are surrounded by so many countries, and they are playing very well. Small little country is doing so very well. I'm very proud of them. Israeli soldier, Israeli armored corps, I'm very fond of. And I'm very fond of Markova tank, though I have never entered inside it. But whatever capability I see, I'm all for this tank. I'm in love with this tank. Now, another good tank is latest of Russian tank. I'm forgetting his name. A wonderful tank, but they don't take it out for normal battle. They reserved it for big battles.
T-14.
No. There is some other name. I'm forgetting. It's gone off my rocker. Great tank. Wonderful tank. They were devised. But all this Leopard, Prime, they are good tanks. ये किसी tank को deny करना गलत है. They have good capability. But if while a vis, I personally feel while a vis, Israeli and Russian tanks are good at it.
Right. It's really wonderful talking to you, sir, about these. I mean, this side of the 71 war. The equipment, not only the man, but also the equipment, sir. It's like a brother, as you
Thank you so much, Babu. You are a wonderful, reporter, and you are a wonderful human being. And I'm so glad that you are covering the 71 war, you are covering armored forces so very well. And you got so much, you like armored corps so much. Hats off to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
I love those civilians who love our armored corps and not some of them who find fault for nothing.
Absolutely, sir. And my love is there always for the armored corps a bit because I personally like tanks a lot, sir.
Naturally, our ethos, when tank join the battle, the victory follows. When tank join the battle, victory follows. We are the king of the battle.
Right, sir.
C-65, C-71.
Right. And any future
And see,
of course.
and see now in Leh, our tanks are reached there. And tanks are being taken to NAFA side also now.
We will need them there. We will.
We have invented a light tank. I'm so glad. Modi, the way he has started this Made in India project, well done. And the way he is developing infrastructure, the facilities for defense personnel, hats off.
That's all. Yeah, absolutely.
And pay and allowances. But not Agniveer. Agniveer is a ill-conceived recruitment. I'm sorry. I am very much against, and I'm very much hurt this Agniveer sort of thing being brought into armed forces. Why the same thing has not been tried in BSF? Why not tried in CPRF? Why not tried in police? Why in armed forces only? So it is, very ill-conceived idea. And they are still want to justify it. With the result that we have got good about shortfall of men, 2 lakhs. And it is no longer the people are no longer preferring to come to armed forces. They prefer to go to permanent job like BSF and CRPF.
Yeah.
Software job, permanent employment. Why temporary? Reason being, when you come out, you become rejected person of armed forces. And 4 years is no time to train a soldier in the technical equipment that we have got now. Equipment is so technical now. The 6-month training, how good it will be. They are using random training. But with the result that our fighting capability goes down, Gurkhas are not coming.
Yeah.
And there are so many Gurkha battalion. And Nepal are not sending to because of Agniveer.
Yeah.
So this particular policy of the government, I am against. Arrest. Modi is doing well, I will say. Thank you so much, my dear, to give me this opportunity to talk to you in detail about the tank, about tank deployability, our tactical doctrine, and how we face Pakistani, and what advantage we had, what disadvantage they had,
Because
and then how we overcome them and
people who talk
destroy them.
about 71 history, it's like they just talk about the men, the facts, and the areas. That's it. Like kuch hua tha and we went in and that's it. But equipment, we have to talk about that as well. How, I mean, at times we had better equipment than the Pakistanis. At times the enemy had better equipment than us. So we have to understand and analyze. So it's really nice for you to talk, sir, about your own personal tank, T-55.
Thank you so much. I love this tank. I love my war horse
We all love it.
of 71 war.
We all love it. And
Thank you so much.
thank you so much, sir, for what you have done in 70.
God bless. Jai Hind.
Jai Hind, sir. Jai Hind.